Hello? All right. There we go. Okay. I think you guys can hear me. Oh, man. Whew. Hey, guys. Welcome to the stream. Obviously, it would not be one of my streams without audio issues. Let me know if you guys can hear me, because that was really frustrating. All right. Okay. I'll tell you why that happened in a sec. So just give me 1 second. I hope everyone is doing really well. Happy Wednesday. I believe it's Wednesday. Is it Wednesday? Oh my god, it's Thursday. This is what happens when you don't have a job and you just play Elden Ring all day. You lose complete track of time and space. Like tomorrow's Friday technically, right? That's kind of crazy. I'll give you guys some updates on what's going on. Let me throw some music on. Let me throw my headphones in. Let's get some painting going. How's everyone doing? All right. There we go. Okay. So, I'll tell you why that happened first. And second, I will tell you about everything else that's been going on. We'll talk about what we're going to be painting today, kind of give you guys some paint updates, kind of what I've been up to, why I haven't streamed all week. I'm sure you guys can guess by the title where I've been in the lands between. But very excited to... I haven't read through it fully, but I've read enough of it that I can probably comment on it if you have questions. All right, so why did I have audio issues? Okay, so this morning my computer's weird, and actually if anyone is like really good with tech, which I thought I was, apparently not, as you can tell from the audio issues. I sometimes have this issue. Well, okay, so it's actually two stories. Okay, so first story is I run a dual monitor setup, like 1 2, so 1 2, and then I have my TV, my 60-inch flat screen. Basically, like the back of it is facing my desk, and my computer also feeds to that. So I can either use my computer on my two screens, or I can use it on my TV. So if I want to say watch a movie from my computer, I literally just switch the display to my TV, and I pop over to my couch over there, and I can watch it on my TV, or I can game on my TV because I got a I have a wireless keyboard and mouse. So if I'm super lazy and I just want to browse from my bed, I can like jump over there and just like sit on my bed and do it. So depending on like what thing I'm doing, I have a lot of options for like my output. And for some reason, and maybe you guys can help me through with this, for some reason, when I do like sometimes if I set the TV as my main display, but then I turn on my computer, like my TV, I don't think it's active HDMI. I'm not exactly sure the tech, but basically if I ever set it so that the TV is the only display, and then I turn off my computer and turn it back on, the computer basically doesn't think that there's any displays. So it won't send a signal to my TV, and it won't send a signal to my monitors, which means I can't even log in to change it. So what I end up having to do, and what I had to do this morning, is I literally had to reset my BIOS because basically the computer kept trying to send the video feed to this TV, but for some reason the TV, like I'm not exactly sure why it's doing it. I have an NVIDIA GeForce 3060, so it's a pretty modern card, modern drivers, got 4 outputs. It's not something that I think should be an issue. For some reason is an issue. Okay, so that was part 1. Part 2, and this is the more embarrassing story. So I guess my first question is, if anyone is good at tech, what I'm looking for is software so that I can set up different profiles for different monitor configurations, either hotkeyed or just like a profile, instead of having to go through to the Windows control panel. Every time I want to change it, I have to go like display settings, I have to set the monitor, I have to apply, it's got to do the 15-second thing, it does the big thing where everything flashes, like agree to it, and then like it's very clunky to switch back and forth between 2 monitors, 1 monitor and a TV, duplicate, different scales, all these kinds of things. So plus usually when I'm on my TV, I have to crank up the scaling settings, otherwise it'll scale everything to 4K because I have a 4K TV and the text is super tiny, right? So I have to crank up the scaling to 200%. So it's a bit of a pain. Like I know how to do it, but if anyone has any software recommendations that can do that through software where I can basically set up monitor profiles and just do that automatically, that would be amazing. And that would be really appreciated. Yeah, like I don't understand. I know like it should be possible. I just don't know why it's not doing that. So that was the first thing. The second reason my audio was not working. Oh yeah, so this morning my computer didn't turn on. Like it would turn on, but it didn't turn on. So I had to pull it apart, and I took the opportunity to fix a mistake. So this is actually like a really embarrassing story. So I've built all my PCs since I was probably like 12 years old. I built all my PCs, right? Like my dad, I grew up building PCs. I built my own PCs. I built this PC, and I went to a little while ago, about like 2 months ago, when I got my 3060, when I upgraded to my 3060. I went to, I don't even know what I was doing. For some reason, I thought I was going to, my computer wasn't booting. This is exactly what happened. The reason I got my 3060 is because my old video card was bricked, but I wasn't sure if it was the video card. So as part of my testing process, I like pulled apart the computer, pulled out the RAM sticks, all the kind of regular stuff that you do. And one of the things I did was pull my CPU cooler off, and I was going to reseat my CPU and reseat the cooler, because sometimes if there's like a pressure difference on like the pressure plate on your CPU, it can cause some issues with performance, or it can cause like instability issues, right? If your CPU isn't like seated properly. And I realized at the time, big computer guy here, that when I had installed my CPU, I hadn't actually removed the piece of plastic on the heatsink. I have a Cooler Master like third-party heatsink that says, please remove before applying thermal paste. There's like a piece of plastic film that basically protects the metal. I had left that on the entire time. So I've been running this Ryzen 3600 for almost a year with this piece of fucking plastic on it in between the heatsink and the CPU. And at the time, I didn't have any, so I removed it obviously, but now obviously I don't have really a lot of thermal paste on the CPU, because you need to put some thermal paste on the CPU. But at the time I didn't have any thermal paste, so I ordered thermal paste, but I still needed to get my computer back together. So I just reassembled it as is. And I figured next time I pull, and the temps are fine because I don't overclock or anything like that. And I was like, next time I pull this thing apart, I will reapply the thermal paste. So this morning, as I was pulling it apart, I'm like, this would be a great opportunity to reapply the thermal paste. But I had to unplug all the USB, all my peripherals, pull out my CPU cooler, thermal paste, back on, put the computer back on. And I guess I have like every USB port in my computer is full. Plus I have like a 7-port USB hub, basically full, because I have 2 mice, a keyboard, a USB ring light, a USB mic. I have a USB connection for my camera. I also have what else do I got? I got my my other camera, my webcam. Plus I have a charger for my iPhone. Plus I have a charger for my headphones. Plus I have like, I don't even know what else I have. I think that's everything at this point. I think there's one more thing. My speakers maybe, I don't know if they're USB, I can't remember. Anyway, so I have all my USB ports full. I thought I'd plugged everything in, and I guess my mic had missed it, or maybe when I unplugged it and replugged it, it didn't get initialized. And that is the story, long story, of why I don't have audio. So with that said, let's get into some painting. So we'll switch over to some paint screens. We'll do a little bit of painting. Anyways, thanks everyone for joining. We're gonna be working on some Rangers today. But these guys here. Hey, what's going on, man? Richard, you just missed my 5-minute text story on why everything was working. Yeah, it's like it was frustrating because it was like one of those moments where I was like, I'm really happy that I know what the fuck I'm doing when it comes to computers. Like, I am generally fairly competent. I could troubleshoot it to that point. I'm like, if I was like a normal person and like didn't know anything about computers, I would be dumb. And the other thing that's been happening, and the reason I haven't streamed all week, is because I have probably played about 60 hours of Elden Ring. Since it came out, which I think it was Friday. I don't know, Thursday, Friday. I don't even know when it came out. I have some thoughts on it, and I'm going to give you guys my review in a sec, but I want to kind of talk a little bit about projects and Warhammer and stuff like that, because obviously this is a Warhammer channel. So I did finish my Jane Czar off stream. I don't know if you guys managed to see it. So I finished Jane Czar. I kind of finished this off stream. I'm really happy with how it turned out. And obviously I posted it on Instagram, gotten a lot of great compliments for it. So pretty stoked with how she turned out. She's a really fun model to paint. Was a good break from the all the Eldar. So happy with her. Next, I want to finish these Rangers. I'll be the first to admit, guys, because I don't have the bases for these yet. So this is the test Ranger that I painted. Because I don't have the bases yet, I was kind of hesitant to work on these because part of me was like, oh, I was trying to make excuses, obviously, because I didn't want to paint. And I was like, oh, I'll just like, I don't know the bases, so I can't paint them. But then I realized I haven't painted in a week and I haven't streamed in a week. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna force myself to do some painting. And the best way to do that is to stream and paint, because you guys hold me accountable, and you guys, it's like kind of like it's like doing my homework before I can go back to playing Elden Ring. Which I will tell you about. Obviously Eldar book is out. I have not purchased it personally. I probably will not be purchasing it for a while. Not necessarily because I don't need it, but I'm not at a point where I need it right now. And I'm kind of holding off buying into the GW expensive books thing. I'm a little bit like, I guess, I'm a little bit hesitant to, I guess, give them a bunch of money on the really expensive books, but I will buy it eventually. Second, my goal right now, so our 40k league in BC, we have a BC 40k league. It looks like it's going to be starting up again in May. So I think May 5th or 3rd is the first game, or the first start of the league. So my tentative plan is to have 2,000 points of this army done by then. Okay. Now, I don't know how hard that'll be. I don't think, I don't even have paint water. So I'll be right back. This is how disorganized I am. All right, I'm back. So, right now, I have, or I own, I think maybe, like, not a lot, I guess. I have 5 Dire Avengers, a Falcon, or sorry, a Wave Serpent, Jane Czar, and then some characters, Warlocks and Farseers painted, which I'll probably only need 1 Farseer of that, and Jane Czar. So my goal right now is to paint up my next kind of 2 projects. I want to paint up these scouts. I want to paint up my 2 Night Spinners, which I'm going to do next after these, because I like to kind of break it up between vehicles and infantry. It kind of keeps it fresh. After these scouts are done, I'm going to go to the Night Spinners. Then I want to probably paint another 5 scouts, since they'll still kind of be fresh in my mind. And then I'm probably going to pick up the Battle Force when it comes out, because it seems like a pretty good deal, and it gives me Guardians and bikes, which I need both of. I might even pick up 2 of them. My thinking is, what I'll do is, I already have that plastic Farseer, and I already have like another I have 2, basically 1 Farseer already that's metal. So my thinking is I'll probably pick up the Battle Force and then convert. So I'll have 12 bikes because I think it comes with 6, and then convert. I think you can get 9 bikes in a squad. Is it 3 to 9? If anyone can correct me. But basically, take 2 of the bikes of the 12 and convert those into bike characters. So I have a plastic autark from the new kit. So take that and then convert that with one of the bikers, the scat bikes, into a bike autark. And then take the plastic farseer that it comes with and convert that with one of the bikes into a bike autark. I gotta figure out how I'm gonna do that. I haven't really looked at the kits, but I don't think it'll be too bad, especially because I got lots of bits. I could sculpt some stuff. So those are my plans, is to then get 2 battle forces, like me 20 guardians, 2 wraith lords, which I think will be good. 20 guardians will be good as well. And then the character and then the bikes, the extra 2 bikes, I can convert with my autark on foot, and then the extra farseer into a farseer autark and into a foot autark. A bike autark. So that's kind of like my current purchasing plans. Then I'll still have my shroud runners, which don't seem that great. And then after that, I'm thinking, after that, I have 10 warp spiders, which are unassembled, the resin. And I have 10, what did I just get? 10, I got 10 of something. 3D printed. I think they're striking scorpions. I think I got some third-party striking scorpions, 10 of those coming. And then my plan is to pick up 2 boxes of banshees. And then for my fire dragons, what I want to do is convert those from the existing the new dark reapers. So using their bodies, but then third-party heads and third-party weapons to basically make those into fire dragons. Because I don't like the dark reapers don't seem that great. But then the new what was I gonna say? The new dark reapers don't seem that great, and so that's kind of the current plan, I guess. So that's kind of so that's the kind of hobby track, and then the goal is to get all of that painted by May. On top of everything else that's going on in my life, which I'll give you guys some updates on. So as I mentioned, guys, I left my job in January. I've been unemployed since then, and I've been doing great. I was planning to travel for a few months, but I don't know if that's going to happen at this point, just because there's just some other things going on in the background, and I'm supposed to actually go to a wedding in and then I'll throw in some support weapons as well. Do you guys know if question for you, if anyone knows this, do you guys know if the support weapons that come in the Guardian kit, are those the same ones that you buy separately, or is it like a completely different thing? Like, is that the exact same model, or is that like a similar weapon, or is it like a different type of support weapon? Does that make sense what I'm asking? Because my thought is, if I get 2 with the Guardian kits, I can just use those as well. I'll probably just end up buying some support cannons for sure, support weapons, and then magnetize them. I'm just curious if it's like the same weapon, or if it's like if it's just a different thing altogether. Yeah. Anyway, so that's my plan. I don't really think I'm gonna play any games with it. Like, my goal basically is to have it fully painted by May, and I don't generally play with unpainted, so I'm not planning to get any like practice games with it, or like buy a bunch of stuff that I don't that is not going to be painted, and then like go and play with it. I'm very kind of like, I guess, I wouldn't say like strict on it, but one of the things that I'm really trying to do with this army is not end up with like a giant pile of shame like I did with my chaos. Not that I really had a big pile of shame, but I used to always be one of those players that like just would never play with unpainted. And so I'm trying to kind of get back to that a little bit, as like a motivating tool to paint. And also what I like to do, and I think I've mentioned this before, is, oh yeah, and then I want an avatar as well, obviously, when that comes out. But the thing is, I don't need to, so here's my thing. I'm not going to be buying everything at once. Right now, what I have is the 2 night spinners, the basically the 2 night spinners that I have, and then the 2 units of scouts, one of which I'm painting right now. Until these are done, I'm not buying anything else. Okay, so that's kind of the pledge. And then once they're done, the only thing I'll really have unpainted will be the 2 autarchs. Although I might even paint up like the warp spider guys before the warp spiders and the striking scorpion 3D prints first. So that's basically 4 units I have in queue before I purchase anything. And until those units are done, I don't buy anything, because what that allows me to do and why that helps me is it kind of gives me something to work towards, and it gives me a reward at the end of getting that painting done. And the thing is, like right now, I haven't been painting this week a lot, but once I kind of get to it, I do paint pretty fast. Like you guys have seen me paint pretty damn fast when I need to high quality. I think you have anyways. Like my Jane Czar, you guys remember, I kind of painted it almost in 2 days. And I think a lot of people would say that's painted pretty well. I don't like this brush. What are your guys'? Let me know what you guys are working on in chat. I'd love to hear it. Andrew, how's it going, man? So that's kind of the goals. I think they're pretty modest goals. And then the basic army that I have in mind, like I'd love to do a Wraith army, because I've always loved, not because I like Ionin as a craft world. I think Ionin's kind of like ho-hum. I just like the idea of like a Wraith army. Like I just think the models are really cool. So eventually I'd love to be able to field an all Wraith army, even if it's no good. I'm just checking this model to see what parts are great and what parts are not. But other than that, I mean, I'm not too fussed on the rest. Right now, the things that I want, obviously, I think I want to start with like at least 10 guardians and 2 units of scouts. I think that's like a good core. A Farseer on foot, and then or bike, and then Autarch on bike or on foot. Autarch on bike probably. I think a few Wraith Lords, a few support weapons, a few tanks. I really want to play with an avatar, to be honest. I love the idea of having like a really strong combat threat, like having a heavy shooting list. So my kind of idea is to have a fairly strong shooting base with like some really like fast combat elements. So like that's where things like the avatar and the banshees come in, right? Where they can basically get anywhere and fight and kind of do a lot of damage. That's kind of the idea anyways. But like, I don't know, guys, like I've never played Eldar. So I'm gonna, as I start painting up these units, I'm gonna watch to see kind of what starts to develop, and if I need to make adjustments to field those units, I definitely will, right? So I'm just doing the basic color blocking right now, so that's why I'm kind of being a little bit lazy, I guess, or sloppy is a better word. So yeah, so that's kind of my game plan. I'm excited to get this army on the table. I'm really liking how it's looking like. Everyone has given me like so far the work in progress is giving some great compliments. So it'll be cool to field an army again and play some events and play some games. Like there's nothing quite like I don't know about you guys, but like there's nothing quite like the satisfaction of putting on the table a beautifully painted, even if it's not beautifully painted, even if it's just fully painted, a fully painted army that you painted, and it's like finally kind of done. Like obviously you're gonna add units and add other things, but like there's nothing quite like you know, building a display board, setting it up, and like putting that on the table and just seeing it, like looking at it. Like that for me is like, it's like, I don't know, it's just, it's such a good yeah, I'm just excited for that. So we'll see what happens. Any work on AdMech in the past? I've never actually done any AdMech Pug. I think I've painted maybe like a tech priest or two, but I don't think I've actually painted like any army. I've never really like, I've always thought the AdMech were really cool like lore wise, but I just never really liked the models. They're just a little bit too like, I guess they're a little bit too like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is about the models, but they kind of look a little bit too like clockwork to me. And I've never been a huge fan of that scheme. I'm not a huge fan of like, as you can tell, of like super tech stuff. I like a little bit more organic. That's why I've always liked chaos. I like a little bit more like fabric and flesh and stuff incorporated. I don't like it when everything is like too metallic. Now, obviously the one exception being Space Marines, but the thing with Space Marines is like, you can paint Space Marines like bright pink and it doesn't really look out of place. You can't really do that with like a lot of other factions, right? Like you can paint Space Marines like my Soul Drinkers are like bright purple, right? It's not a dumb question, I'll answer in a sec. Dark Mark would be really cool. So Hakan, to answer your question the best of my ability without leading you astray, from my understanding, and this is for Imperial Rhinos too, you have on the kit, you have two holes in the front, right? So there's like two spots where you could potentially put like a turret mounted weapon. The Rhino normally comes with a Stormbolter. So it comes automatically with a twin bolter, I think, or combi bolter, whatever it's called for Chaos, two bolters. And then you can buy it on top, an additional weapon, which is either the Havoc Launcher, a combi weapon, I believe, or a additional combi bolter. So potentially you can have 4 combi bolters on it. So like, sorry, it'll be 2 combi bolters, which is, or the twin combi bolters. So it'll be two twin bolters. So 4 shots. You guys know what the fuck I'm talking about. Four bolters strapped together in some way is what you can have. From my understanding, from what I remember, and I could be wrong, there is an ability to put up to 4 bolters on it. Like you get one that's pintle mounted and one that's basically mounted on the actual hatch. That's from the last time I put a kit together. It could be slightly different. There's definitely one combi bolter in there. I don't remember if there's a second, but I swear that there was. But either way, the Rhino automatically comes with 1 combi bolter. So no matter what, it gets a combi bolter. But like, I personally never put my weapons on my Rhinos. Not like game wise. Sometimes I would like give them, they'd obviously come with the combi bolter, but like when I modeled them, I almost never put the pintle mounted weapon because it would always break. And I just didn't like the fact that like, I liked it looking clean, like this nice, smooth kind of aerodynamic Rhino. And I always felt it weird that there'd be this like, kind of like big gun jutting out of the top that could get like shot easily. Especially because there was like no cover for the guy, right? Like if you look at a modern APC, which I know 40k is not modern, but generally the gunner is going to have like a shield in front of him. And the gun emplacement is kind of like part of the vehicle in the sense where like it's kind of embedded in the vehicle. Whereas with the like Rhino, the driver is basically like sticking his head out, and I just thought it was really dumb. Like I'm like, you're in a vehicle that is armored. Why would you go outside of it? Like, isn't the whole point of the Rhino is to like get you to transport you safely? And the other thing that never made sense to me is like the Rhino has a giant hatch on the back for some bizarre reason, and it could never. I think in old rules, and if anyone that played old 40k remembers, I feel like there was a time where you could have your Rhinos open topped and basically shoot out of that like top hatch, but then you got like -1 your armor, or like you got some sort of negative. Am I thinking crazy? Was that ever a thing? Open top Rhinos in any edition, or am I just did I just make that up? Can someone remind me? I feel in like 3rd edition or something like that, there's a way to do that, like an open top Rhino, so to speak. Basically, you could shoot out of the top hatch, or they had firing ports or something along those lines. Yeah, there's like literally giant doors there. So I don't know. Okay, guys, I gotta talk to you about Elden Ring a little bit. So this is gonna be my review so far of Elden Ring, and this is coming from someone that has played all 3 Dark Souls games. I've beat all 3 Dark Souls games. Most of the bosses, almost every boss in all the Dark Souls games, optional bosses included. I've played and beat Sekiro minus the last boss, Sword Edition, because I just got too frustrated with them and I didn't feel like it was worth it. And I've started Bloodborne, but I have not finished Bloodborne because I just got a console this year and I had other things to do. So Bloodborne is something that I'm planning to go back to. So you could say that I'm a fan of From Software games. Like, I do enjoy the games. I think they're fun games and they're a very unique style of game. And obviously Elden Ring very closely follows this formula, right? Now, I'll say right out of the bat, it's not a perfect game, and I'll get into why I think it's not a perfect game. I keep reading like all these reviews, and I guess it's like people that have like they really like FromSoft games, and they're maybe they're like, I saw these like 10 out of 10 reviews, like best game of the year, best game of the decade, all this kind of stuff. It's definitely not as far as I'm concerned. So and I guess that comes down to personal preference, but there's a few things that I think are like, there's a few things that I want to say. So first, I really like RPGs, role-playing games. I wouldn't really call From Software Elden Ring a traditional RPG in the sense of Final Fantasy. So I love Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy like 10 is one of my favorite games of all time. Final Fantasy 14 I've been super addicted to for the last 3 months, and I'm still playing in my off time. Final Fantasy 7 and 7 Remake and some of the earlier Final Fantasies, like what those games give you is a deep story, deep characters. You fall in love with the characters, you feel for the characters, you have this like attachment to these characters, and you follow this like really intense like story. You role play the story. Or a game like The Witcher, I played all 3 Witchers, 1, 2, and 3, and you really feel, you see Geralt go through this like incredible story, and you're there with him, and it's like you really like feel for your character, and you get attached to some of the characters like Ciri and like Yennefer, and like there's different storylines that are like really heartbreaking, and it's like they're really like, I guess Baldur's Gate 2, like these are like, I love RPGs, guys. The RPGs, if I had to pick one genre of game to play, it would be RPGs. And the reason I love RPGs is because I love story, I love the adventure, I love the unknown, I love the challenge, right? Elden Ring has a story, right? But it is not, you don't really play the story. The story is kind of there in the background, and the problem I find with Elden Ring, and this kind of goes along with a lot of the other Souls games as well, which is, and I'll be very transparent, I prefer to play these games usually way after they're released, because if I get stuck on something, I can just easily look it up. One of the things I don't like about the From Software games, and look, the combat is difficult, and I wouldn't change that. I would never put an easy mode in. I know a lot of people are like, oh, put an easy mode in. I would never change the combat or the mechanics or anything like that. Where I think the game kind of, I guess for me, falls behind is in the story. It is not that there isn't a story, but it's like it can be very, very frustrating to actually find the story, because it's not obvious, right? It's not laid out for you in any way at all. Like, and I'm not saying they should make it like, World of Warcraft, where you get a check mark, or like even Final Fantasy 14, which is like literally like every step is like check marked, and you can basically teleport to zones, and like the to actually complete the story is very, very easy in Final Fantasy 14. I'm not asking for that, and I'm not saying that that's what I want. I just wish there's so many it's so easy in Elden Ring and Dark Souls games to miss really cool parts of the story and not even know that you missed them unless you followed walkthroughs, because some of the hints and the way the game is laid out is so vague, and because there's no quest journal, like you literally can't even replay a conversation. Like if you're not taking real-time notes, someone could say something once in the game and you may miss that, and that's it. Like if you didn't catch that, and if you don't have like go on the internet and look for it, you're never gonna know that that's this thing that you're supposed to do or where you're supposed to go. It's almost too vague, and it's too obscure sometimes, and I think that actually takes away from the game. Like if they just made it like slightly less obscure, so kept the combat, kept the kind of world, the open world, the difficulty, all that stuff, kept everything the same, but just made the progression and the storyline slightly more slightly easier to kind of follow, slightly easier to kind of understand where you're supposed to go, or just approximately where you're supposed to go, or just a little bit more clearer like hints and clues. I think the game would be a lot better, because my biggest frustration with playing Elden Ring is not dying, even though I do die a million times. It's getting to points in the story where it's not clear what you're supposed to do. And especially because Elden Ring differs a lot from Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3, because it's an open world, it's really easy to not only not know what to do, but then not even know where to start. Like with Dark Souls and stuff, if you get lost or you kind of get stuck, the progression is fairly linear, and so the places that you could go back or retread are fairly like limited. With Elden Ring, it's like if you kind of get twisted and turned and end up somewhere where you're not supposed to be, and you're not exactly sure where you're supposed to go, it's like you're screwed. And so fully, I like, and I'm not ashamed of this, I enjoy the game more when I have story spoilers, or at least like general spoilers on like places I should go, or general walkthrough on places I should go. Like, hey, after this area, kind of go in this direction, talk to these people. Obviously, I generally don't read on the boss fights, and I don't read on like the actual story, what's gonna happen. But like, there's so many times where I've played the game and it's been like, oh, go talk to this NPC, and the NPC is literally like in the bushes behind a castle in the dark, and like the only way you would have ever seen them, like there's no way you would have naturally just stumbled upon across them. It's almost like they're trying to intentionally make it hard to find, and the world is so big that it's really hard. It's easy to do that, to get in these situations where it's not quite clear what you're supposed to be doing or where you're supposed to be going. So my biggest complaint with Elden Ring so far is like, as someone that's like a bit of a completionist, like I always like to go and do all the mini bosses, side bosses, that kind of stuff, and I'm pretty far into it. It's just some of the stuff that I've had to do, there's no way I would ever know that I had to do that without the internet. And maybe that's like part of the design now, but I read all these like, I guess, apologists, people on the internet. They're like, hey, if you don't like it, go play Horizon, or go play fucking World of Warcraft, or go play any other RPG that like has quest markers and hold your hands. But that's not what I'm asking for. I'm not asking for something to like completely hold your hand. But the fact that like there's not even like a quest journal, there's not even like you literally have to take your own notes. You can't even replay dialogue for the most part. So if there's like an important piece of information that like an NPC gave you and you kind of missed it, NPCs kind of disappear and reappear, sometimes at random. It's easy to do things out of order and like not know that you did them out of order, and then not know that you gotta like go back and like retread and like whatever. Sometimes you gotta like rest a bunch and like keep talking to the NPC. Like sometimes it's not even clear. Like if you're new to a Souls game, you wouldn't know that the proper way to talk to an NPC is to keep talking to it until it stops talking. Like because sometimes it'll just give you one line of dialogue and then the dialogue ends. And in most games, when the dialogue ends, you think that's over. But in Souls games, you gotta like keep talking to the person, and eventually like they might give you some information, right? So those are kind of like my biggest complaints, I guess, about the game. Other than that, I mean, the world building is beautiful. The gameplay is very Souls-like. I've been very frustrated a few times, like dying on the certain bosses. Certain bosses I just left, and I'm like, I'm gonna come back when I'm way over leveled and beat them. That's also one of the nice parts about Souls games, though, is like they're not level gated. Like, I guess they're not dynamically scaled, the difficulty. So if you go face a boss or an area and it's too difficult, you can go and like level and come back, and you're better, and the bosses are weaker. That was one of my complaints with, I think, The Witcher 3. I think it scaled. It was open world as well, and I think Skyrim does something similar too, where it kind of dynamically scales stuff to you. So it always feels like stuff is just slightly hard or slightly easy. I like the fact that in Elden Ring, like you can go face something, it curb stomps you, and then you come back like, 3-4 hours of playtime later, 5-6 more levels, a few more upgrades on your weapon, and you destroy it, and it feels really good, right? Like that just literally happened to me today. I was like wiping on this one boss, I got it to like a quarter health like 4 or 5 times, and I'm just like, you know what? Rather than like sit here and like bash my head against it, I'm gonna go farm some souls, get some better weapons, upgrade a few things, and then I came back to it, and then I beat it like second try. So that's a really good feeling, right? And I'm not a good Souls player by any means. Like if you watch me play, I'm not very like skilled. Like I'm not the kind of person, like I watch people play that guy play like blindfold Sekiro, and it literally made my jaw drop. Like I'm a button masher, a button roller, a button blocker. I'm terrified of shit. Like I'm always dodging out of the way and dodging into things, and like not learning, trying to just brute force stuff with like attacking. Like that's why I like Sekiro, because it's a lot more offensive. But these games, they really punish you if you're not patient, and you really got to learn things like attack patterns and stuff like that. And I'm capable of doing that, but I prefer to just usually brute force stuff, because that's like, it can be a lot more fun. Anyway, so that's my little review of Elden Ring. I'm not finished the game yet. I think I'm probably about halfway through, maybe slightly more, depending on how much longer side stuff I do. There's like 2 or 3 major areas that I still haven't really started, which I'm just kind of starting now. But I've basically cleared out the entire south of the continent, and I kind of went back and like did every dungeon I could find and like that kind of stuff. So yeah, I've been enjoying it. That's what I've been up to. If you guys have been wondering where I've been, why I've been painting. And I decided not to really stream it because the gaming streams haven't been super popular. You guys haven't really, well, my audience hasn't really tuned in, so I just figured I'd play by myself. But if it's something that you guys are interested in seeing, I'm happy to stream it as well. So you guys can see how bad I am at it and laugh at me. But generally I just play. So anyways, that's my Elden Ring review. If you guys have been playing it, let me know. If you guys are planning to play it, let me know. Oh, and I turned off co-op because I like to just play it single player. Like I'm not the like a lot of people play co-op and like they invade and PvP. That's not my thing. So I generally just turn off the online section, so I don't even see the people's notes. I find them annoying and immersion breaking. Anyways, you've been playing Civ 6 in honor of World War 3 starting. Yeah, that's, speaking of, scary time out there, man. Scary time. Hopefully, I mean, I don't know why I say hopefully, like, there's no signs of things getting better, but the scary part, doesn't seem like things are going in the right direction. It seems like things are only getting worse, so. But I wouldn't expect at this point things to get better, considering when you think about it, like this whole thing just started like a week ago. It's been like a week. Feels like it's been a year. All right, so that's done. we're gonna base coat all the cloaks, I believe. So I think I did. I'm trying to think of what I did for these. I did base coat the outsides in this color too, and then I started highlighting with plum, so that's what I'll do. Yeah, let me know if you guys but yeah, so anyways, that's kind of my review, Elden Ring review. Eldar, let's talk Eldar book for a bit. So I read the book for the most part. I think it's okay. I don't think it's Custodes levels. Sounds like from everyone that I've talked to, it's kind of has a lot of tricks. Sounds like Harlequins are going to be quite strong, so I think I'll probably have to add in a Harlequin attachment, which I haven't even talked about. I want to play Purecraft Worlds, but I'm willing to betray my betray it a bit and throw some Harlequins in. I think that'd be fun. I've always wanted to paint them, so it'll be a good excuse to paint them. But seems like Custodes and Owl are still kind of shredding the meta right now. I'm really interested to see if we get a balance update in the next little while, or what that's going to look like, because the stats don't lie, so they have been an issue. Like it's not just that it's like they're dominant, like they're dominant, like everything else is kind of bad right now, it seems, compared. And I just think it's a problem for the game when certain factions, like, I really miss the days, like, I know a lot of people complain about like the Castellan days, but like in a lot of ways those were like that. There's this one period in 8th where like everything was like really well balanced for like 6 months right before the first Marine book came out, the second Marine book, sorry. I miss those days, you know, when the sky wasn't falling all the time. But it's okay. I think that's kind of like the part of the game that I'm not too worried about right now, just given that like I'm not playing a ton. Obviously eventually once I get back to playing, I'm gonna be concerned a lot more about like where the balance is at, but I'm kind of at a chill place right now, and like my goals are, as I said, to get playing locally by May for our local league, and then hopefully for like kind of the end of summer, depending on what happens with me, get an event in or two. I probably won't be going that hard this season either, just especially because I'm just going through a lot of transition and stuff, but eventually I will make it back to the competitive scenes. I mean, I have TTS. I always think about like it's not like, unless I really have to do it to like prep, or if I'm trying to get like a special like meta list in, it's not really worth it for me, I guess. I don't love the game that much that I'd much rather spend that time painting and doing hobby than playing TTS, you know? I have played it though. It's not my jam, to be honest. But do you like it, Hakan? So anyways, other than that, I am looking forward to is anyone going to Adepticon? I'm curious. I'm curious to see if we'll get some big reveals. That should be coming up right at the end of this month. So I wonder if it'll be, usually Adepticon weirdly has bigger reveals than the LVO thing. That's traditionally where they've done like a lot of big reveals. So I'm curious to see what we're gonna get this year, if anything. Nice. Are you playing in any of the events there, Striker? Or are you just going to, or yeah, like what events are you playing? If any. I don't know why I airbrushed these this color. So this is kind of like a learning thing. I should have airbrushed these the gray and gone in and painted the armor. But instead I airbrushed them the armor color, which basically is very small. I'm going to cover up anyways. But I think when I do the next unit, I'm going to airbrush them all this dark blue black and then go in and pick out the armor. That'll be a lot easier than what I'm doing right now. All this base coating. But that's why you kind of do, that's, you know, I kind of did my test model. Originally I thought I was going to do more of it in that green. Like I thought the boots would be green. Sweet. I don't know if like I really have an answer to that clown mode. I don't know if it's like it's something that I like purposely did. I've always just like, do you mean more in like the methods that I do, or do you just mean like the way that I like to paint? Because I don't really know. Like I have, obviously everyone has a style, but like I don't think you like, I'm like out there looking for a style. It definitely wasn't like something that I copied or like, because you got to remember when I started painting, like we didn't have, like YouTube didn't exist. So when I started painting, I painted a very specific way, and I kind of just like adapted it from there, I guess. But I didn't really like purposely be like, oh, this, I want to have this style or whatever. Yeah, it's kind of hard to say. I mean, I've been painting since I was like 12, and that's 25 years. No, 13. I think I started the hobby. I'm 37 now, so I started painting when I was like 12, 13, or 13 or something like that. Warhammer. Obviously, I didn't really get good till it took me about 3 years till I was like getting fairly good at it. I used to paint a lot though. And now I kind of like, I don't know how to describe my style. I guess I just like a very high contrast, heavily saturated style, I guess is like my preferred, with like a good balance of like color and technique. Like I can definitely paint in different styles, I guess, if I wanted to. It's kind of like comes down to like what I prefer. Yeah, this is really dumb of me to go and look, as I basically just repainting the whole thing. Look at how stupid I am. That's the only part of the model that's basically green, and I airbrushed the whole thing green. Those three little bits, and the helmet's not even going to be green. It's just going to be the shoulder pads and like a little bit of the elbow. So next time I know for the next unit what to do. That's part of the learning process, right? And that's a very unique model, that guy, because he's like he's all closed up, but that guy should be a bit better. Basically, the best thing I can recommend is like if you're trying to like find models that you like the look of, and then try to emulate that, like try to figure out how they did that. So like for me, I used to look at, there's different styles, I guess. And the style that I liked the most was like kind of more of a cartoonish style, but like also like really good from both distance and close, because I do like Like, I don't know if you guys have ever looked at Brandon, what's his name? Brandon, it's like GMM Studios or whatever. I think that's his name. GMM Studios. He does like crazy full armies, huge army commissions, like, and they're all gorgeous. Brandon Palmer, yeah, thanks. So Brandon Palmer is a really interesting artist. He's got a very unique style, but if you actually, and he paints like beautiful armies that are like they're when you look at like shots of them, he paints massive armies for commissions. Like, he does like, here's 15,000 points I painted in one commission, like, and it's just like crazy, right? I don't know how much he charges, but it's got to be a lot. He's got a very unique style. But if you actually look at like, if you like really zoom in on like one model or two, his like highlighting style is very stark. So he goes like very dark to very light in like very like I guess like let's see if I can pull up some photos. He does, it's a very like quick highlight in the sense that like you can tell he's almost doing it like cell shade, almost like comic book style, where it's not really blended, it's just like different layers and like progression, and it gives it a very like, I guess striking look. But like from a technique standpoint, or I guess from like a, I don't know how to put this without making it come out wrong. Like, he's not like blending his, like, he's not like doing like advanced wet blending. It's basically just like really strong, smart layering, I guess is the best way to put it, in a way where like he'll make an army look gorgeous from 3 feet, but then like if you pick up a certain model, like you'll notice that like the colors are not like, the transitions aren't like super smooth, right? And I think that's part of the style though, right? Like is what I'm trying to say. It's not like he can't do that, or he's doing it like he does that on purpose. And that starkness, that like those jumps between colors, it like contributes to the look. It gives it that very distinct high contrast kind of like comic book look. I like that style, but I like that smooth. Does that make sense? No, Arthur, I don't. I still have a lot to purchase, and I'm just going to be buying things as I need them, because I don't want to end up like a big pile of shame, so. So right now I'm working on these scouts. I got 2 night spinners up next. And then I'm going to pick up, I don't know, I got a few other kits that I could paint, but I'm looking at those battle forces pretty nicely. I'll probably pick one of those up at some point, maybe 1 or 2. And then convert. I kind of talked about at the start of the stream, so if you want to like rewatch the start later, I talked about like the exact purchasing plan and army plan and stuff like that. So right now, I just kind of want to get these scouts done because I feel like I only have the Dire Avengers done so far as like units, and so it'll be nice to have like a second unit done, like a troop unit, sorry. And I think I'm gonna have to get some more Dire Avengers. They sound pretty damn good, especially with in 10-mans where like you lose a guy and they get to shoot twice. So with the Exarch with 2 rifles, that's 10 guys essentially, right? Because so that's 60 shots because it's 3 shots each. So that's 60 shots from 9 models, which is pretty nasty, I think. Especially because they got the 18-inch shurikens. And I assume they're gonna get some ability. Like, I gotta look at I'm gonna order the cards soon, even though I don't have the book, because I think the cards are more valuable. It's got all the stuff I really need, which is like stratagems and stuff like that. And then the rest I'll just wait for like Battle Scribe update at some point. Although the Battle Scribe is already out already, I bet. I haven't loaded Battle Scribe in forever. Yeah, this is really dumb of me. Now that I've like know how I'm gonna finish these next unit, I'm definitely spraying the black. And then doing this the other way. Okay. Well, we learned. And we're almost done anyways. But yeah, I think I've been kind of watching the meta right now. I guess, when is the book actually out? This Saturday? Is that when the officially releases? I presume? I thought it was maybe not out yet. I just went on pre-order last weekend. Let me check this thickness. Alright, so those are all base coated. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Like, I think the problem is, like, no one's really gonna know. Like, everyone was saying that about Custodes, right? They're like, oh, Custodes, like, all the Custodes players, were like, Custodes are not good. And then look what happened. So, I wouldn't rule either way, I guess, yet. I'd let the masters, like Sean Naden and like the people that are really good with Eldar, start building those lists and figuring out what the really good things are, because I'd imagine like D cannons with Night Spinners with infantry support and psychic support, you're gonna create a really deadly army. The question is like, are they Tau broken? Do we want that? Right? We'll be right back. Yeah, I think Harlequins. So I think the best list will be a mix of Craft World with Harlequins. Like one, I don't know if it'll be pure Harlequins, but it seems to me that either pure Harlequins. My problem with pure Harlequins is I don't think they have enough tools. So I think like Craft World firepower with like Harlequin combat and aggressiveness, like with an Incarn or an Avatar thrown in there, could be really strong. Like, think like Guardians, 2 Night Spinners, D cannons, Farseer, maybe an Autarch, and then like enough shooting, like maybe a Fire Prism or 2, a Wave Serpent, like 1,000 points of like shooting Eldar, and then like or like 1,300 points of shooting Eldar, and then like 700-800 points of combat Harlequins. I think with the Eldar that can sit back, and then the Eldar that can, the Harlequins that can kind of hang back as well, and then pounce the midboard and just have that mobility, right? Yeah, but the problem with Warlocks as a unit is like they can get shot, right? Isn't that why everyone's shitting on the Warlocks, the Warlock units, and they don't have a 3++ anymore? Isn't that the whole thing everyone's complaining about? All right, so now I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna basically rebase coat all the fucking armor that I just painted over poorly. So I wish like I think you're always probably gonna have a warlock anyways, just a single warlock for things like Seer Council. It's too good of a stratagem if you ask me. I think every list will have a Farseer at least. I think a Bike Autarch for the Eldar side is good too. That's probably all you need, maybe a warlock if you're really feeling spicy. I really want to paint an Incarn and an Avatar, so I'll probably paint out both. Those are gonna be really fun projects, especially because like I'm not sure how I'm gonna do the Avatar, but what I'm thinking is like, so like you know how my scheme is like green, like this kind of green armor, but do that in reverse. So it's like white hot and then out to the green, and then the weapon would still have the orange color. So I'm thinking I'd do this kind of like white hot, like the inside of the Avatar is this like white hot, the brightest color, and then it goes out to the green, like the of my army. Yeah, that's the only thing with, there's so much indirect right now. I think that's kind of, I think indirect fire should not, I remember in the old rules, it like used to always hit on sixes maybe. Was that a rule that I remember, or did I just make that up? I swear there's a rule where like indirect fire used to always hit on sixes or something along those lines. It should have a rule like that anyways, if it doesn't. I miss the old Ulthway Soul Councils, man. Those things are nasty. Well, I don't think I really miss them, but they were cool back in the day. What's up, Brett? Man, the YouTube chat outshining the Twitch chat today. Gotta love it. Twitch fam is quiet today. YouTube's got all the action. Guys, as always, if you guys are enjoying the content, or if you just want to be my friend, make sure to throw me a follow, like, and subscribe. I'm at 610 followers on Twitch, just under 2,000 subscribers on YouTube. I'm trying to get to 1,000 followers on Twitch at some point before the end of the year. That'd be cool. And 2,000 subs on YouTube. So those are kind of my goals. I should probably create more videos. Would you guys want that? Like if I actually did more edited videos? I've thought about doing like almost like some shorties, like keeping it like really like maybe not so much like my painting videos, which are like heavily edited, but maybe doing things like a 10-minute like quick 10-minute tip like in real time. So it's like, hey, with minimal editing. It's because editing, it takes so much time, right? And I don't know if I have it in me, but how do you get those sick wet blends on your brush? What do you mean on my brush? Like on my models? They don't wet blend on my brush. I don't really wet blend. I think a lot of people assume that I wet blend. I do a lot of really thin layering. I find wet blending is a little bit too like, I don't know, labor intensive for the effect. So a true wet blend is like is a lot different than what I do. So generally what I do is I layer very thin and then I glaze, and I use glazes to kind of tie my layers together so it feels like it's really, really smooth. I find it's a better, for me anyways, I find the effect is quicker and just as like, I guess, looks just as good. But yeah, if you ever guys like, there's a Discord. The link are in the chat, the YouTube and the Discord on the, or sorry, the Twitch on the about. You guys ever want like a specific thing, like a video on it? If you leave like a comment and say, "Hey Jim, could you do a video on X?" I could probably like do that, put together some quick videos. For you guys specifically. And either just demonstrate it live on Twitch or sorry, demo it live on stream, or I could make a specific video if that's something that's you guys would be interested in. I just want to spend a bunch of time on it and like no one watches it, you know? It's hard. It's like you got to make videos to get views, and you don't want to make videos unless you have views. So it's kind of like you got to really be passionate about the content creation. And like as much as I love the streaming part, I'm not a huge like editing videos and stuff is not my huge like. I did obviously a bunch and I learned a lot and that was fun, but it's definitely not like something that I love, you know. It's definitely a little bit of back and forth. And this is kind of the boring stuff too, right? Like you're not learning a ton from what I'm doing right now. This is just kind of like mostly me doing base coats and cleaning up. So it's hard to kind of show you guys techniques on this step. Obviously there will be steps in the future that's going to feel like there's actually like work going into it, but right now it's just a lot of base coats and stuff like that. Trying to get everything to the point where I can start actually doing the highlights and stuff. Strands of Fate dice, what is that? Can you explain those, Andrew? And clown mode, I don't really know how to answer that. I guess it just depends on the army. I think you just gotta, personally I think the one thing that I will say is like I like to play with I like to play in all phases, so that's why I've generally never liked things like Necrons or Ow. I like to play in all phases of the game, so like I like Psychic phase a lot, I like shooting, I like close combat. I've generally not played heavy shooting armies. I've always liked close combat and movement and stuff, so I tend to play armies that are a little bit more a bit of a mixed force. Yeah, don't get me started, Hakan. I was just thinking when I saw the rules for Strands of Fate, like why couldn't we get like something like that for 1,000 Suns? We could still have the cults, but then you have like a Fate dice or something like that. I guess the Cabal points was like their better idea, but I don't know. I guess they learned their lesson from Cabal points and AOS or Fate dice. So what is are you doing these strands dice, Hakan? Can you explain that to me? Or sorry, the fate dice. Are you gonna have like the different phases on each face, so you just roll them and then it's like 6 for whatever? Like you're gonna have the like a wound roll, and a like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, is that how it's gonna work? So that you don't have to think about it, because I think one of the complicated parts is like once you roll the dice, you have to know like which ones are wounds, which ones are whatever else, right? Is that what you mean when you say like you're gonna have dice for it? Kind of does that thinking for you automatically? I would be interested in that, something like that. I think that'd be nice. Because I was thinking about thinking about it. I'm like, if I'm playing a game and every time I roll those 6 dice, I gotta like stare at them and then like allocate them, etc. That could be a little bit, I guess, annoying. Don't get too annoyed though, Hakan. Just I don't know, chaos will come. Chaos's day will come again. In like 10th edition. Yeah, I was gonna do something like that where I basically had like a little, like almost like a 3D printed thing where it had like slots for like it was like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it was like one, it was like corresponding to that, and then you just kind of you put them into each of the spots basically up to like say 6, so it's like 6 by 6 basically, little 3D printed thing. Because I think it's gonna be hard to remember it, not just keep track of it, but like remember it as well. Hey, thanks for the follow, Sizzle. Welcome to the stream. But yeah, it'll be definitely hard to follow. And you got like, obviously you don't want to be spending a ton of time like wasting trying to figure it out, right? Like mathing it. I'm sure someone will come up with custom dice though, either way. Venom collars, yeah. I'm curious if we're gonna get a full kit, to be honest. That would just be nice. Obliterators, if Obliterators and Venom collars actually got like an actual kit. It's still crazy to me that the only way to get the new Obliterators and Venom collar is through... How do you get it right now? Is that like half of Shadow Spear even available to buy? Can you buy that currently? As like a standalone? Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. It's so stupid though, like, what other... I guess like the Space Marine stuff for them is also the same, right? Like the, if you want to get the little, whatever they're called? Infiltrators, Annihilators, I don't know. The Space Marine names are like basically a meme at this point. There's so many like weird ones that sound the same. All right. Okay, so that's all our main base coating done. Okay, so main base coating is done. Next, what I'm gonna do the inner coat base coating. So let's looking at our test model again. So the inner coat, if you guys didn't notice, the outer coat starts at this blue black and ends at this kind of like plum, but the inner coat actually starts at like the plum, like it's a much brighter plum. So I'm gonna do that, but it's not quite the full darkness, full brightness, darkness. Word. Here. Yeah, that's what I thought, Andrew. That sounds cool. Yeah, let me know. Let me know how those like situation with those. I'd love to get my hands on some. Okay, so I've mixed up like a pretty dark kind of plum color here. So I'm gonna just do the inner cloaks. That too dark. We need to go a bit darker. Light it up. Yeah, that's fine. I figured as much. I probably won't be playing for a month, so we're good. Come on. Go. Dark. Go. Your cloak carefully. I always like to do this first, and I always talk about it. Like, I guess my approach to painting units is kind of get all my blocking, color blocking is kind of what I call it, like heavy base coating out of the way. This way too, if there's like, generally if I make mistakes, I can kind of quickly fix them. It's the base coat color. Whereas if I finish a whole area and then go on a base coat, and I can be a lot sloppier here because like, I can be a little bit sloppier here because if I do get some color on like areas where I don't need to, it's really easy to go back and fix it. Sometimes I get like weird chunkies in my paint. I don't know if that's from the models or... Water's dirty. So I'm just base coating the inners of these things. Ow! Don't leave your knife on the edge of your table pointing at you. Pro tip. Okay, so do I do the inside of the sleeve? I don't think so. I think that's a bit too much. Or the inside of the head. I think I just do the bottoms. Good. All right. Oh man, I just got paint everywhere. How's it looking? Whoa. So I'll probably be streaming a little bit less next week as well, just because my goal right now, and I know it seems crazy, I have a very obsessive personality. If you guys don't know me, if you haven't met me, so I actually want to try to beat Elden Ring as fast as I can, so I can get back to like, so I can put it away and never have to play it again. Like literally, that's my mindset. Is like I want to beat it, so I said it's finished, and then I can go. I can never play it again or like play it again in like 2 years or when the next expansion comes out. I don't want it to be one of those games where like it sits there unbeaten and I still have to constantly be playing it, because I like to do kind of one thing at a time. So my goal is to kind of, and I want to work on my Elder army, but Elden Ring is interrupting that. So my goal is to beat it hopefully by like say the end of this weekend. I think it should be beaten if my playtime continues by like the end of this week, and then next week hopefully we'll be back to regularly scheduled. Oh, is it? They're definitely hard games, man. It's not like they're not just hard like, as I was saying, I had a whole bit on it, but like it's not just hard because it's like the combat is hard. It's hard because like half the time you have no fucking idea what you're supposed to do. It's like difficulty through obscurity, you know what I'm saying? And it can be very frustrating to play a game like that. So I feel, yeah, not for everyone, for sure. But that makes you no less of a gamer. It was funny because I was talking to someone that in my Final Fantasy Static, which is kind of like my raid guild, so I play everything on mouse and keyboard because I kind of grew up on mouse and keyboard, and I'm really bad at controllers. And so all the Dark Souls and Sekiro I beat and played on mouse and keyboard, and I'm playing Elden Ring on mouse and keyboard. And like, there's people that are telling me that it's way easier on controller. And even though I have an Xbox controller, so I have an Xbox controller right here for my computer, right? So that I could play. I thought, thinking that like this is like, I think when I got Sekiro, I was like, okay, maybe I'll try, because I'd played Elden Ring, all the Dark Souls with mouse and keyboard, and I was like, you know what, maybe I'll play Sekiro on controller, and I'll finally get good at controller, and that way like I'll just play it kind of the way it's intended. And literally I couldn't do it. Like, I'm just so bad at controllers. I'm sure I could do it with enough practice, but like I'm so much better at mouse and keyboard. And then same thing with Elden Ring. I started playing it with my keyboard and mouse. Yeah. I started playing with my keyboard and mouse, and then I kind of got to like one of the first bosses, and I kept dying, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll try it with my controller. So I plugged in my Xbox controller thinking, okay, which was a huge mistake because like obviously I haven't been practicing with it, and trying to switch like my brain to like from like mouse and keyboard to Xbox controller is not like a thing that happens really. So basically I gave up on that and I went back to my mouse and keyboard, and now I'm really good at it with mouse and keyboard, or semi good at it with mouse and keyboard. I'm no pro, but I'm at least good enough at it that like I don't feel like I'm embarrassing myself. But yeah, it's like, I don't know, it's maybe I'm getting old, you know, but I'm so comfortable with mouse and keyboard that like, and I've played so little modern consoles. Like I think I've said it a few times, but I didn't own a console till like I got a PS5, but this is the first time I've owned a console since like literally like I personally owned a console. I've obviously played on other consoles, but I didn't actually own a console since Sega Genesis in like 1994. Last time like I personally owned it, you know, which is telling you how little. I never owned a PlayStation, never owned an Xbox, because I've always been a PC gamer, right? And so I've never been a console gamer. I didn't even have a TV for like 8 years, so I couldn't even play console games. I just got a TV like the start of COVID, like 2 years ago, finally, because of COVID. So now I have a TV I can actually play on, but I didn't have a console for fucking forever. And then I finally got fed up of like these fucking console exclusive games, you know? I really wanted to play Bloodborne, really wanted to play Final Fantasy 7. Obviously it's not getting any better with all these merges and stuff. I just feel like it's a superior platform in every way, right? Graphics are better. Now if you listen to the problem is it's there's like I think you can make the argument that like even if the performance is better on PC, there's better games on Xbox and PS. But the thing is, and then anytime they port the games over, like Dark Souls, they're shitty and buggy, which is like not a lie. So it's a hard call, but not the end of the world. All right, guys, that's gonna be our progress for today. Good hour and 40 minutes. So basically, we got all the scouts base coded, all the main base codes done. So next week, these will probably be done by the time if I get some more painting done. If not, if they're at the exact same spot as they are this time as they are next week, then you guys can shame me. But I'm gonna call it there for the stream. Thanks everyone for tuning in and listening to my rants and raves. I will be back next week. I'm gonna try to post a schedule for the stream in the Discord and on my YouTube. So on YouTube there's a community page where there's like you can put posts. So I usually post the schedule there, and I post the schedule in the Discord. So if you guys are interested in seeing the streaming schedule, and if you guys want any tips, hints, anything like that, topics, jump in the Discord. We got over 100 people in there. It's kind of quiet, but I'm quiet, so kind of my own fault, I guess. But I'd love to see you guys there, and yeah, I appreciate everyone tuning in, and have a good night. Thanks.